This day 518, the Arukh HaShulchan. If you'd like to sponsor or come and share more of the Arukh HaShulchan, please contact me directly. It'd be very greatly appreciated. Today we're doing Siman Shin Yud Ches Chav Vav to Lamed Aleph. Chav Vav. For that, you should know the possession is by air. The bedavar lach is bishul achar bishul, and something which is moist, liquidy. There is bishul. There is cooking after cooking. She's tiny when it cooled off. After she's batch cold circle, even when it's completely cooked previously. The Sun will say it's only if the cooking will continue to improve it. If it's stomach relevant, the cooking will be bad for it. And bishul after bishul, there's no bishul after bishul. The Talmud Love, and they were astonished about this. They saying on the bishul. This is not whether it's mistamik v'alo mistamik v'yafalo. It's nothing to do with bishul, but rather when we're concerned that you might come to rake the coals. That's an issue, but not when it comes to cooking. Whether it's cooking, whether it gets better or worse. But whether you're concerned about raking the coals and you go to cut them and all those things, that's where mistamik v'alo might make a difference. It's going to get worse. You're not going to make the coals. Whatever it's cooking, it's a cooking no matter what. Therefore, they rejected his position. That's the Bach and the Tazan Magen Avraham. The Shulchan, however, says that the Ramah is correct. Although here in the footnote says the Mishnah Berurah does not go with the Ramah. Mishnah Berurah says that Mitzvah Ralo is also usher. But let's see what the Mishnah Berurah wants to say. The Arukh HaShulchan says. This is what he wants to say. Since it's going to get worse, in Ken you surely do not have a mind to cook, only to heat it up a little bit. Even if it's a necessary outcome that's going to get cooked somewhat, however, this is a psik ratio, inevitable result which you're not happy with. Mutter. That's mutter because that means only something which you want or at least don't care is usher, but something where it's detrimental to you is the psik ratio does not make it usher. The Rambam V'Rashba Ramach said bishul matar klak must be honest, especially because many of the Rishonim hold that there's no bishul achar bishul even by davar lach altogether. I'm astonished that they don't mention the Rambam after he saw she tells him muchuberes abi sugis hasaf Yerushalmi k'mosh kasam. So yesterday that almost all the sugis and shas in Yerushalmi indicate the Rambam is correct. Chav Zayin. B'shonim by Mishnah, we learned that Mishnah kol sheba b'chamin, anything which came in the hot water of cooling. The kol shelo ba b'chamin, anything which did not come into hot water, Me'erev Shabbos, Menichos lo b'chamin Shabbos, you can still rinse it off of that water on Shabbos. Chutzim Mariach Hayoshin, except for old salted foods, v'kuliyas hispanin, and some sort of vegetable. Shadach son higmar malachton, where even rinsing the hot water completes their processing, and is like cooking. Because they only need a little bit of heating up. And their rinsing is considered to be the completion process. Hadacha is a synonym, rinsing is a synonym for klisheni. You pour on it hot water from a klisheni. Also, the shvos are to soak it. If you have a klisheni, even a klisheni, the Mexican because it looks like you're cooking. And an older pickled or salted piece of meat, or whatever, even to pour on it, irui is awesome. It sounds like even the pouring it from a kli sheni, because they're kale habishul, things that get cooked very easily. And this Maliach Hayoshin is about to define. He says, herrings, shalonu, herrings are not cooked. They're raw. They're just salted. So therefore, you would not be allowed to pour water from a klisheni on them, hot water. And what they're showing study, but you can soak them in cold water. But then he comes up with an interesting chumrah. There may be shri is like a malacha, and therefore it's like a makav patish. Avarotz and sonanim, but rinse them in cold water. Vadem mutter tzili permissible. Became a potion mutter, and so to lukewarm water it's mutter. So let us burn only hot water, which is causes the hand to jump back. That's awesome. Mishnah Berurah says that tonain, cold water, you're allowed not only to rinse it up, but even to soak it. Not like the Arukh HaShulchan, it's more makeup than the Arukh HaShulchan. and even if it becomes better or more royal achila, I guess, because some of the saltiness falls off, nevertheless, it's not considered to be a problem. Cooler from Mishnah Berurah. Chavches. The chemistries by the Chodevash the Chosins we Gemar Malach and have a bishul, since we've clarified anything which is hadacha, the rinsing, klisheni is the Gemar Malacha, it is a bishul, v'chai b'Shabbos, and it's a chiv, the raisa on Shabbos. Pisa esich korin tei. Therefore, this grass that they call tea, shemayim chamin, and which you pour hot water. But we know that it gets cooked very easily. And even the klisheni misbashing Moshe Neneros, as our IC. Hamara lem chamin b'Shabbos. Afila de klisheni chayav chatos. Wow! If you pour them hot water, even from a klisheni, you chayav chatos. The Rabbi Nichsholim b'zeh b'tanu shlev. Many people are stumble in this thing using improper logic. Yes, some say shall take when it's bashim koma. The tea has already been cooked, where it's produced. Maybe shal charbishon is looking after the cooking. The toast gadol hu afilim ma'emes kenu. It's a great mistake, even if that was true. The bisham ain't abishul vashul, because there the cooking is not to cook it, el asosa perish royal bishul, but to dehydrate it in order that you should be able to cook later on. Because it's already cooked. And I heard altogether they don't cook it in its place of production. There's some people who make tea in a klisheni. They pour hot water from the klishon, litzin senes, into a container. And then that's the water's in klisheni. Then they put the tea on it. Then they put the water and tea into a kettle. And then they pour water from a kli rishon, which is the new one on me. Then here it says, there's only liable to chatos in the case. At some point, there's either the tea is being cooked originally, or it's being cooked when you pour from the kli rishon onto it. Especially because we see that tea gets cooked in klisheni. Kli shlishi should be shulan cow. And even a kli shlishi, because they get cooked easily. There's some people who pour hot water on them from a kli rishon before Shabbos, and it stands a bit. And then they pour the water. The tea remains dry. I'm not sure exactly how that works. Oh, I skipped the word. That's why. Then they fill out the water, and the tea remains dry. The next day, Boker, in the morning, they pour on the tea, hot water from Kli Rishon, because it's ready cooked from yesterday. And there's no cooking after cooking, and suddenly it's dry, and the tea had become dry because you moved the water. It's not so. First step, it has to soak in the water sometime before Shabbos, before you pour off the water, in order that it should be cooked. The Mishnah Berurah adds you should stir the tea very well, shake it up from top to bottom top to make sure it all gets cooked. Back to Arukh HaShulchan, you shouldn't pour before Shabbos the hot water and the tea, but immediately pour them out. In one moment they're not going to get cooked. The proper way to do it is to make an essence of tea, a concentrated tea, which Am Yisrael does. That's the custom. That would be true about coffee as well. Remember, coffee is just roasted. It was not cooked. So yesh bishul tzli. Today we usually use instant coffee on Shabbos to avoid all these problems. Kamo chocolate, cocoa, the cocoa. So I'm guessing the difference between chocolate and cocoa. I'm not sure what the difference is. Lamaisa, many people, including myself, are makel to make tea in a kli shlishi if no sense was prepared from before Shabbos, so you want a different type of tea. It's an interesting tidbit. In our house, my wife does not make tea in a kli shlishi. She only makes tea from sense on Shabbos, so therefore, whenever there's no tea bag available, if we're guests somewhere, she wants another kind of tea. So Baruch Hashem, she has me as a Shabbos goy. Chavtes. Because Rabbeinu Ramah B'Sifri Daled. Ramah writes, "Hu adim kol davar kosher, anything tough, sheinu royal echol klal b'lo shrei, which can't be eaten without soaking. Does it show some Shabbos? You can't soak on Shabbos. L'havik ma'avalocha, completing its processing. I can show. Kumar feel b'tzayim, even cold water. Made a royal achil below zev. You can't eat without this. Havik ma'avalocha, its completion of its processing. Chaim shemakvash in lie because of makeh bepatish." So the Bir Halacha says that famously that there is no makeh bepatish by Ochlin. But evidently Arukh HaShulchan disagrees. Okay, but it's a big machlekes, obviously. It's got major implications. Arukh HaShulchan would be a major chumrah. And so the salted thing which you can't eat without rinsing, and you rinse it, chayav, you're liable. Because many people assume they were talking about specifically to soak it in hot water. No. Even cold water, it's also when that's the completion of its processing. But we don't have no foodstuffs like that in our day and age, which are only going to be suitable by soaking. I guess that was unknown at the time of the Arukh HaShulchan. Lamed, Vidad, the call team, she's borrowed. All of these things you clarify also because of cooking. Also, feel the thing, Akira Tanur, Kodem Hesek. Doesn't matter, you put them on the oven, stove, before you ignited the fire. Much cause of simulation of Gimel. For them, any of the Yasikatan, even Menanju puts on the fire. Nevertheless, I saw the Jew placed it on the oven and or stove with the full knowledge or intent that, or Nichole at least, that it should be, let's see. The Zel Kachel no sink there, it's like one person puts the pot on, and the other second one brings the fire, both liable. Now, if he said, see, it has to be that the non-Jew standing there with torch in hand, ready to cook to light it right away. They're both working in one act. But if the non-Jew let it later on, we should put the first guy's example. This also is Rabbanim Moshe and Yehudi Yitena Ketera Agabe at Tanur Al Pia Pratim Sheniz Baru Besov Simon Ration and Gumel, unless it puts the pot on top of the stove or oven according to the details of Ration and Gimel. Ma'ashem Hashkutzam Lustav Simon Sham. Let's see what we wrote there. You'll leave it for now. You lam it out. The came of the Davi Yavish and Bishal Charbishul. Then something dry, there's no Bishal Charbishul. Okay, Davish is Bashko Toko, so the thing was completely cooked. But Yavish is dry. Shem Marok doesn't have any sauce or soup. Even if it got dry, you can put it opposite a bonfire. Even a place where it's got to let us go. You might ask, why we're not afraid you're going to rake the coals? The day time said also because of this, you're not allowed to leave it on top of a stove or oven, even if it's boiling for before Shabbos, because you're afraid you're going to rake the coals. It's not comparable. Where they said over there that to put something next to the oven, is okay. We kind of have a smicha. And here it's like putting next to below kasha, and it's not like standing up something on top of the stove oven. Even though it's not completely comparable. The sham besmicha yesh hefsek hadofen. There, if you put it next to the oven, there's interruption of the wall of the oven. Min karvos, you can obviously tell there's a separation, and it won't come to rake the coals inside the oven. We kind of here hanging up segment there. There's no gap, no distinct, no space between the pot and the fire. Nevertheless, came to Loitilo Rak Agabi Hamadura, Shoitilo Agava Madura, even since they didn't let you do it on top of the bonfire, only the side of the bonfire, that Rochak Tsassing Madura, somewhat distant from the bonfire. You say, okay, you have a reminder, so you're not going to come to rake the coals. Agabi Kira, but on top of the stove, Asur Mishum Ha'ashah Kamosh Chesad Nisham. Of course, if it's on top of the stove, you have all the parameters where you need Goro for cotton. That's why it's saying dry. But saying moist, also Shin signs forbidden when it cools off. If it didn't cool off, the dying Yad Soleres, still it's the heat of Yad Soleres. Gam b'davar lach mutter. And even if something moist, it's okay. In other words, it has to cool down to room temperature before we say yesh bishul achar bishul by davar lach. Because Rabbi Rambam B'Siv Tesvav, the yesh b'chilam mar kol shein no snow al eish al gabi kir mamish. Those who lean to say anything you don't put on the fire or completely, totally adjacent to it. Rak samachlo, just near it. I guess samachlo is less than. No, I read it wrong. If you're not putting it literally on top of the stove of the oven, rak samachlo just next to it. I feel it's time mutter even got cold, he's allowed to do that. That customs he make of has not become completely cold. Now, according to Sfardim, they don't have the schumrah. So therefore, they can take something dry right out of the refrigerator and put it right on the blech. But Ashkenazim have the schumrah that it can't be, it's not in the gamre. So it means you can't take something out of the refrigerator, put it on your blech, and the place will come yad selenispo, even if it's yavish. That's our chumrah. I was asked on Shabbos if somebody from the Eidoth HaMizrach is allowed to do this for Bnei Ashkenaz, and I said yes, because no din of Amir Yisrael. You're allowed to tell a Jew to do something. He holds his mutter for you. Anyway, this is according to Ram, which says that there's no bishul chabishul even by something moist, which is cold down. But on the fire itself, it's awesome. Nevertheless, and also on top of the stove, it's like hashia, where you need to have parameters. I said if it didn't cool down completely, it's okay. It's difficult to understand that because we're talking about Yavich. If it's not a gamre, over some yesh bishul belach. He says when it's not a gamre, we're afraid there's bishul by lach, by moist. Aval b'davar yavish mutter. Arukh HaShulchan wants to say by davar yavish, even if it's down in the gamre, it's mutter, which evidently would be like the Eidoth HaMizrach. But we ain't finished with this yet. He says here, Max is a circle in brackets. Max is a circle sipkos bin lam test because the gambi yavish also it's down in the gamre. Right, so it's completely cold. You're not allowed to put it back on. We shouldn't have it coming in so you're putting it on deliberately. For us, Shemi Chatei, we're afraid because it might break the coals. The simulation of Gemara Sham. Utmiyani, I'm astonished. The awesome is so chatanur my reader. Was have a shlam siflam base ein sham. That's in the oven. Base the demon hulakan. What correlation there to here where it's on top of the oven at best. Okay, so right now it seems like he's makel by yavish, even if it's down the gamre, which I assume means he even came from the refrigerator. So maybe he does hold like they don't in Mizrach in this respect. Let's see, maybe he modifies it tomorrow.